The Italian Wine Podcast is the community-driven platform for Italian wine geeks around the world. Support the show by donating at italianwinepodcast.com. Donate €5 or more and we'll send you a copy of our latest book, My Italian Grape Geek Journal, absolutely free. To get your free copy of My Italian Grape Geek Journal, click support us at italianwinepodcast.com or wherever you get your pods. Grazie mille. Wine2wine Business Forum is a training and networking event for anyone involved in the wine business. Held in Verona on November 13th and 14th, this year, the forum will involve over 90 international speakers and over 50 sessions on topics ranging from marketing and communication, sustainability, strategy, new market trends, and market focus. In collaboration with the Italian Trade Agency, a number of market-focused sessions will be broadcast in a podcast series on the Italian Wine Podcast, a media partner of the Wine2wine Business Forum.
So, good afternoon and welcome to this panel with Fanny Breuil. She's an expert of the French market for Italian wines because actually she represents some Italian wineries on the French market, and she studied food science and winemaking. She worked actually as a winemaker in Italy, in France, and in Chile, then as a wine importer in the US. So she came back in 2008 and she started her own company, Genuine Wines, and she imports Italian wines in France. So she knows very well both the markets. And the good news, according to Fanny's speech, you will see, it's that there's room in France for Italian wines. And we will discover with her speech in which circumstances there is this room. I introduce myself too. I'm a journalist from Corriere della Sera, cook. It's the food and wine supplement of Corriere. I'm Alessandra Dal Monte, and I'm very pleased to introduce Fanny Breuil. So,
good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much, Francesca. So yes, I'm a French woman who loves Italian wine a lot. So I will share with you my vision of the market of Italian wines in France and how we can promote and sell Italian wines. So to start, let's do a zoom on the consumption in France. Who consume wines and how? And then inside of this, Italian wines, to then see what's the potential are and how we can grow. So the wine consumption is pretty high. We are the second market for the wine consumption with 40 liters per person. It used to be much more. In the 70s, we used to drink 100 liters per people. Well, I guess it was a long day, so I don't know. The wine had a lower alcohol level at that time, and it was really different type of work, more physical. So today, with 40 liters, we have a division more or less equally in between red, rosé, white. White wines are growing in France, and red wines are a little declining. So we are more and more arriving to a third of each. In this landscape, we know we have 6% of foreign wines consumed in France. It seems to be small, but due to the large market, it can be an interesting figure. On 3 years, 19, 20, and 21, we have seen that the wine consumption has grown in France. These figures, it's the closest figure we have, but it's also during the pandemic. And we know that during that time, French were staying in France and enjoying easy pleasure, having good meal and drinking good wine. So we have to be careful. We are not growing by 8.6% every year, no, and which is more maintaining, but it's a dynamic market. Where are bought the bottles? So still in grocery stores, a lot, for 5 bottles out of 10. And then in restaurants. Restaurant market is interesting for foreign wines because there are lots of Italian restaurants, and this is probably the most interesting market for you as producers to work. Then we continue to buy wines also in winery, and still producers are going to winery to buy to direct producer. And then wine stores, of course, or online. online. We used to be behind. In France, it was not a channel very well developed, but it's changing, and also during COVID time, it has changed. This is more about the people. Who are the buyers? Today, we can see that the major buyers are people above 55 years old. And then the smallest market is for people around 35 or below. So we need to continue, keep the market dynamic. That's an important point. But then if we have a look on how people buy wines, we can see that the young generation are still buying. Those who buy wines, those who drink wines, are quite active buyers. They will buy the same amount of wine when they go to a shop or when they consume wines as people of 55 years old or 65 years old. So it's more how to gain new customers, because then these customers are pretty active. And what's interesting is they are also maybe more active into foreign wines. So we have an overall consumption which is declining, but it concerns more the cheaper wines and also the supermarkets. So we are really in a movement of drink less, drink better, and this phenomenon is continuing. People are ready to spend more when they buy wines, and they want to have quality. They want to have something different. They want to also understand. They are ready to learn and explore. About digitalization, this is increasing, but here again, we are too close to the COVID phenomenon to really analyze the figures, and maybe we have to wait some time to see if this will stay a dynamic market, because just after people are coming back to stores, physical stores. Two important tendencies in France are organic or any environmental certification and sparkling. Organic or environmental certification. So in France, we know that in the near future, it will be very hard to buy a wine that has no environmental certification. For this reason, we have created a certification called HVE, which means high environmental value, different from organic certification. There is polemics because some people are thinking this name that means high value is less environmental friendly rather than organic. But it's also showing that French market needed to make a certification on which consumers could rely, because they really want to buy something with a link to environment. That's the same for the foreign wines. The foreign wines that are organic or that have a special distinction will have more chance to develop. That's for sure. You have more and more organic stores with a wine section, and these stores they will only buy organic wines. And sometimes it's sad because the vineyard can be organic certified, but not the wine, so it's not on the label. And it might be something small for you, but in the end, you are losing potential targets. And sparkling wines, yes, we have this tendency, as in many different countries. Prosecco is a success in France, and Prosecco, people know Prosecco. They don't know how it's made, but they know it very well. They are also expecting a certain kind of taste. They know it doesn't taste as Crémant or Champagne. It's not second fermentation taste they are waiting for. They're more the fruitiness. So Prosecco has made a really good job. I mean, in France, people drink it alone or with the spritz in cocktail. This is a list of some wine shop and chains. They have all of them. They have a wine section for foreign wines. Nicolas, which belong to Le Groupe Castel. So here you have even up to cheaper wines, and 500 stores. You can imagine that you need to have some volume to enter this channel. Cavavin just behind was interesting in terms of financial figures. It's working well too. Le Repère de Bacchus, they do have an interesting Italian wine section. and I know they are dynamic and buy from different wine importers. Nisa also, they are more known for being those who are looking for something top, something great. Hidden gems, c'est ça. So that's their specification. And there are less stores, so they can also have this section. Les Domaines qui montent, it has been created by a group of producers to be able to manage from A to Z the distribution. We have e-shops. So I was telling you previously we were behind. France was more traditional regarding distribution. So we used to have some e-shops, but not much. Today it has changed. We have choice, some French, some not French, but with point FR and deliveries into France very easily. Some are based on subscription, like 3x20 or Le Petit Ballon. This is very interesting to launch a domain. 3x20 Le Petit Ballon, my VT box, I know that they will taste blind. This is owners who are visiting lots of wine fairs in France, like Millésime Bio or the Off Fair. So now we have seen a little about wine consumption. Where are Italian wines in this landscape? Italian wines, if we have a look at the figures, it arrives to 19.8% of foreign wines in France. And Spain looks to be in front of it with 18.8%. But if we look closer, Spain includes also lots of bulk wine that are bottled in France, that are blended also with some wines in France. So if we clean up the figures, we see that Italy and still wines is the number one. French people, they really love Italy. They love Italian wines. They have traveled to Italy. We are neighbors. So the preference is there. To do this presentation, I have also called some customers, they own shops, and they were explaining me that whenever they are advising a consumer to buy wine, if they are introducing a producer from Italy, 90% chance the person will buy it. It's never the same when they are introducing a wine from Austria or Spain, or they have to argue more. So yes, Italy is really the first country. Here on the same period of time, 1920-21, we can see that it has also been the most dynamic in quantity and value. Value remains low, so we also have to work on quality to continue bringing in high-quality Italian wines in quantity to balance these figures. Still and sparkling. So sparkling, the most important, and this is no surprise thanks to Prosecco, because of the power of the brand, the reputation, the market they have done. They have made a good work, and this is growing. So really dynamic, far behind all the other sparkling wines, and keep on increasing. Then for the still wines, Tuscany is number one. Then we can see if we had identified region, Veneto Tuscany, Veneto, and Piemonte have been identified with Tuscany number one. And here too, the tendency over 3 years, Tuscany is very dynamic. Piemonte has gained, Veneto has gained some, but we have lots of space to continue entering and bringing in lots of other wine region. And we are ready in France to taste unique small region. We are not afraid of small area, because in France we also drink small areas. Now, if we look at just the foreign wines, where are they bought? CHR, it's restaurants. So this is really the market to explore. Restaurants, because we have lots of cuisine of the world, and especially Italian cuisine. So it's there that you will sell more in volume and in value. E-shop can be very interesting for the diversity. On a digital shop, we are looking for wines we cannot find in a physical store. Here we can buy Durella, we can buy Marche much more easily than if we go to a physical store. But every serious wine store, they do have a foreign wine section. Today, foreign wine section, it's a big word to say they have Italian wines. I have asked the question to people I know who are selling wines to French. They have their own wine stores. Who will buy Italian wines? It will be young people who are traveling. They are back from a travel in Italy. They want to drink what they have discovered during the vacation. When they want to taste something different, when they don't know, when they are advised to by the salesperson to taste this wine, they will follow, they will trust, or when they want to cook something Italian food. The reason why it's very important to create the link with the wine merchant. The wine merchant will be really your help, an ally. Rely on him because it will give you much more in return. When I started my job 15 years ago, I was in charge of making export market for some Italian wines and French wines. And for Italian wines, France was an export market. It was hard to find wine importers, and I decided to import wines, to bringing them in and to have the license for wine importation. And this gave me the possibility to go and discuss directly with the private stores and restaurants. And when I was visiting stores, they kept telling me, well, Fanny, my customers, they are not really interested in Italian wines. And I knew it was not true because if I was doing tasting to private people, they were interested in Italian wines. I think, so it has changed. Really, it has changed. I think at that time, it was more the lack of knowledge. A French person want to know, especially if they are owning or selling wines, they are supposed to know. And it would be awful for them if someone arrives in the store and know more than them, this or this or this region. And you have to think that we don't have books written in French on Italian wine. So you have to teach not only your winery, but also your wine region. And today it has changed. And I think it has changed thanks to the many wine fairs that invited Italian producers to come. It has created a discussion with the professional. And professional, they are curious. And your wines are very interesting because the tastes are very different from French wine. So the interest is there and you have lots of potential. So the strengths, native grapes and different grapes than those we have. Your red wines have much more acidity, so it tastes different right away. Your white wines could have more tannins or more bitterness, so it tastes different also. The story behind, we are cousins, we do the wine the same way, we have the same size. Even the equipment in the winery, well, if we compare to New World, we do the wine the same way. I have worked in Italy and I have worked in Chile. In France, it's the same as in Italy. I think we can easily understand your story. It's family story or passionate people who wants to start. It's close to what we do and it's story we will fall in love to. We love Italian culture, wine, food, so we are ready, we are receptive. And again, being organic will be a plus. That's for sure. Wine importers today, if they have choice in between two wineries from a wine area, and if one is organic, they might select this because their customers are also asking for more organic wines. The weakness, well, I wrote when this is made from French grape variety, maybe not for every consumer, but I think it's not the wines to start or to launch your winery. If you have wines made also from French grapes, that's okay, but maybe talk more about the others. Then you have lots of IGP, lots of DOC, DOCG, also Vini Rossi, Vini Bianchi, as in France, no? But as I said before, since we don't know, you have to take more time to give the landscapes. Where is your winery? Otherwise, they will be lost. They will feel insecure. They will feel I'm talking about the cavist now, because then the wine importer, of course, they know, but still take time to give the information. And since we are looking for younger and younger, labels are sometimes too classic, you can interest less people. And how to grow. So, as for every market, but this is something having a price range, entry level, mid level, and high level, because you won't be cheap wines in France. If you are going to the market which is increasing, you are going to a market of knowledgeable people, and your wine will go through a wine importer, so you have one more step, and you won't be a cheap wine. So it's important to have a price range, and your entry-level wine will help the rest of the range to be imported. Something important is the ability of your wine importer to clear the order. A friend of mine asking me to help because the wine importer in France hasn't cleared the EAD. In France, people love buying at a good price. They are happy to buy XLR price for their own store, but they won't do distribution, and they are not real wine importer. They will tell you that they can import. They have the ACIS number, ACIS number, but at the end, they don't do the job. So make sure they are able to clear your EID. And then you rely to your marketing and your wine. You are doing something very nice. You have an interesting wine region and jewel, and also wines we cannot find in France. And that's the plus. And then you will explain your region and you zoom to your winery. But by explaining the history of your wine region and the landscapes and the relief and the soil, it gives the professional behind tools, because I think we are scientific. We like facts a lot. So we will rely on these facts to also then tell a story.
Italian Wine Podcast, brought to you by Mama Jumbo Shrimp.
And then when you have your customer, when you start the collaboration, take some time to send newsletter to them. I know you are very busy with the winery and you have to do everything, but even if it's twice a year, to explain what you're doing and to explain, for instance, the vintage. We love a lot in France talking about vintage, how it was, because then that's how the wine professional will explain to the private people the vintage. I would advise to write in French. You use any translator. We are supposed to read English also, but we have good wine fairs, Wine Paris. We know that this will be a successful wine fair now. We needed a French fair. You will see many professionals coming to this fair for sure and looking for Italian wines. If you are organic, Millésime Bio is a good wine fair also. 70% French market, so restaurants, stores, wine importer, and then 30% will be foreign wine importer from outside of France. So 2 wine fair to focus on. And then you could do smaller wine fair, of course, also. I have list 3 of them, but you can find others. The off fairs around Millésime Bio, or around La Loire, Grand Testing, Béthane de Sauve, Vini di Vignaioli, that's organized by an Italian professional, I think. The wine importer, I think it's important to have a wine importer with a good network with restaurants. You will sell to wine stores, yes, but in terms of volume, the glass, it will be restaurants. So it's important to have this connection. I also believe it's possible to have different wine importer in France. If a wine importer is asking for exclusivity, from my opinion, ask how they are organized and if really they have a team to be on the market. We could divide France into 5 big areas. You have Paris, you have Northwest, Northeast, Southwest, Southeast. Maybe they can do all if they have a team, or if they go regularly, or if they organize tasting. You can ask. It's a natural question to ask. There is no problem about this before giving an exclusivity, or ask after a year, okay, where do we sell most? And if it's not everywhere, the only problem about exclusivity, about the reason why, it's the price point. But this is always possible to to make sure there is a price policy in France. I think it's possible. We have some producers in France who also import wines. And this can be a good partner because they have the distribution for their own wine in France. So they can use this distribution to introduce also foreign wines. I really believe there is a potential in terms of the public. We can see the increase of wine importer. This creates a little competition. You will hear wine professional in France saying, "Oh, there is too many competitors." No, it's not saturated, and this gives lots of choice to the final consumer. It gives knowledge. That's name of a wine importer making a good job. So some of them are only in Paris, others are in, Négociant from Bordeaux. This is La Place de Bordeaux, the Négociant who made the business with Bordeaux brands. They also have a section for foreign wines and Italian wines. The press. We discussed this point with Francesca because she knows very well. She's a journalist in Italy, a country that works as in France, because you also produce lots of wines. The promotion in our press will be mainly for French wines. It's not to complain. It's a fact. It's hard to gain articles into French press. That's the reason why you will promote your wine. The three main ideas, according to me, is to give you positive feedback. Now, there is a market in France, and you have good chance because your wines are fitting well with what we love drinking. If we want to drink something outside of France, will be Italy, for sure, number one. So there is a potential. Your big strength to me is the difference, what makes you unique. Take time to underline this specificity of the wine region. And then the importance to build a relationship with the French. So the wine importer, by keeping him informed on what you're doing. And then some wine stores also, restaurants. They like the contact, they like knowing in person, close relationship serious professional can have with French producers. The French professionals are very close to the French producers because this is their fuel, their gas, their energy to sell wines. You can build the same relationship. Voila.
Thank you, Fanny. You mentioned quality wines. I mean, you said that there's room for quality Italian wines in France. Which is the definition of quality wines, in your opinion, for French market?
So quality, since we don't know yet, we cannot put this domain into a taste. So we are not expecting a taste, but not too much oak, I think. Now French people, they don't want to have something too oaky. And then the balance in terms of the acidity, body and tannins, and the length, having a good, the complexity, I think the same.
Balance, freshness, and length.
Oui, freshness, the complexity, the length, something that you memorize. Mm-hmm. They can be picky on this. They don't want to have a wine too simple and you forget right away.
Of course.
I think it's very close. Quality for French wines and quality for Italian wines.
And about the price range?
When you ask in a store who are buying Italian wines, they will say the young who want something new or who have traveled, or of people who have money, wealthy people, from 12 euro up to 20, easily from 12 to 20. Above 20 euro, it's more the wealthy people, while the richer people. Still you have customers, and then above it's really because they know the domain, and the brand has built an image strong enough. So you divide per two. The structure will be a store. When they buy a wine, the price without tax will be doubled. So if a store buy a wine for 6 euro without IVA, they will sell it to 12 with IVA. That's how it works in France.
You were suggesting to producers, Italian producers, to keep in touch with the professional in France. But do you also suggest to visit, to go to really know personally the importer or the wine shops?
As you do for the other market, because you are used to export. We live close, so going asking for a market visit. I think France remains a country where it's still asked. Well, the professional will be happy to see you. I know some markets it's such with the people coming and visiting the market. In France, no. They will be very happy to meet the producer and to welcome you to do tasting. So yes, you will have space and time and welcome for market visit.
You also suggested to talk about the territory, not only the wine, because French people don't know actually Italian territories. What's the best way to do that? So just to tell about the place where the wine grow, the grape grow, or maybe also do something together, like
Oui.
being
A group
like
of producer.
Yes, a network.
Oui, with a group of producer. But do you mean before having your wine importer or after when you have built?
I don't know in which part of the process, but I mean, maybe what's the best way of talking about the territory in France?
If we talk about a group to launch a region, it could be made by the consortio, for instance. Mm-hmm. That could be work made by the consortio with a focus on wine region. And I think this would be nice. Then people could taste this specific region with this number of producers and see the differences and understand also the typicity. And then when you have your contact, it's focusing on the key element. I think starting from a map, starting from we love the geology, we love the natural elements to explain the terroir. We always go back to the terroir. That's how we re-understand, we take the hand on, we handle it. Talk about this because you have the same. And then inside this territory and terroir, what's your position? What's your style? And what makes your wine different?
So sorry for the really stupid question, but I used to travel a lot promoting our wines. I work for a winery. And what happened to me when I travel in another country, the people used to try to ask me, so if my wines have any comparison with some French style. You know, the word is divided in Bordeaux and Burgundy.
Oui.
Okay, it has any sense in the storytelling of our wines to make this same comparison in your market? So it is kind of offensive, or it's something that opens the mind, or better done to do?
This is their reaction because they don't know. So they want to put this taste into a landscape they know. So that's the first reaction. So if I were you, you can agree, well, more or less, and then say, yeah, more or less this. But this is true for the tannins, but that's different. Okay. Because at the end, you are not making wines from the Rhone Valley. It's different. But you can first agree in the meaning of understanding what they want to say. They want to classify, but because we do this in France, we classify. So we know that Beaujolais, it's more the gamay with the fruitiness, more than the acidity, low tannins. We know that if you go to Bordeaux, we will be not so high in acidity, but more the tannins. That's how we have learned wine. So they want to classify in the landscapes they manage. And then you can say yes, more or less. And specifically for our wines, what you have also, and that you don't have in this French wine, is this and this. So you say yes, and at the end you say no. But first you have said yes, and you gain maybe a customer.
I take the first. Thank you.
Hi, Fanny. Thank you for your presentation. I have a question. You mentioned earlier that the French consumers now, the trend is to drink less but better. And then I saw the next slide. Maybe I didn't see it very well. In terms of Prosecco, it's doing very well in France. Do consumers there differentiate between Prosecco DOC versus DOCG? Or do they further even go into like Cartise and other levels? And if they don't, does it worth any effort to promote the different types of Prosecco?
I think Prosecco has been strong because it's a brand. French people, the reaction is different, but as they do for champagne, it's the brand. So Prosecco is never compared at champagne. It's Prosecco. So it works differently, really differently. And then they will see a wide range of price. And today, Valdobbiadene, well, they can find a wine importer saying, okay, now you know Prosecco. If you want a good Prosecco, so because we have started from an idea of taste, flavors, aromas, and then we can say, yeah, but go towards to quality and you will see the difference, and then we can explain the story. So, but here, the power of the brand. They have really succeeded in making this. And I don't know if it would be possible with Consortio to do the same, to really work globally, to put landscapes in people's mind and taste. Prosecco, we have really well identified the taste, the fruitiness, and you have people in France, they love or they hate, but it's very well identified. And je veux du Prosecco, je vais acheter mon Prosecco. Oui.
Okay, so we are perfect on time. So thank you, Fanny. Thank you very much. And thank you for coming.
Listen to the Italian Wine Podcast wherever you get your podcasts. We're on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Himalaya FM, and more. Don't forget to subscribe and rate the show. If you enjoy listening, please consider donating through ItalianWinePodcast.com. Any amount helps cover equipment, production, and publication costs. Until next time, cin cin.